Welcome back to the Card of the Day weekly wrap-up. We just finished up GPT-14 and it's coming out at your local store now, so get hyped. Now we've got some spoilers for the new Bermuda sushi set, and Toku and Zystral are going to give their first impressions on it. Just like last time, the cards will be rated bad for park filler, niche for cards that may see play in certain situations, circumstances or archetypes, playable, cards that probably will see play regardless, and good for cards that were obviously designed to replace older ones. And if cards are meta defining, we'll let you know. Without further ado, let's begin. First off, we've got Lacol, this grade 1 with guard restrict in a very certain circumstance. I have her set as niche because I recognize that maybe she can go into Coral, and with Coral's new stride skill, she can hit a very large number with that weird guard restrict.
No, it's bad. Like, 3 or less deck is basically your final turn. Having a card that's only valid in that point is just not worth it. Like, it's not even on boost, so you can only be played in Coral. Like, you can't use it anywhere else. It's only 6k, so even then, it's like, you have to work so hard for it to even be slightly threatening. I think this card's honestly garbage.
Furuka, I have her set as niche. I think that if her cost was a little bit less expensive, she'd be actually kind of good in Coral, just because you can turbo your soul and then go for a good final turn kind of thing. But Counterblast 2 is a very steep cost, and for what she does, I don't think it's enough.
I've got her as niche minus. I think the cost is just way too much. Coral doesn't want the turbo soul. I think it's Riviere that wants to play this card, because Riviere is the card that is the deck that needs power and soul reliably, and as well as that, Coral actually consumes quite a bit of counterblast, whereas Riviere doesn't, and Riviere has a much more reliable countercharge engine, whereas Coral doesn't. So I think if this card's going to go anywhere, it would be Riviere, but even then it's still a very heavy investment that I don't think I'd want to pay.
Rirun, I have her good. I think that the fact that she gets 2k not on just your own turn, but on both turns, she gives basically all your grade 2s and ups resist on the defense as well, is very strong in this current meta we have.
Yeah, I've got her somewhere between playable plus and good minus. I think the resist is the most relevant part of the skill. It's just really, really strong. It also helps, the 2k is nice because it helps you break some columns on your early stride turns, but I don't think it's actually going to be making that much of an impact because a lot of your grade 2s, especially for the current build of Shushu, are all about extending your combo and getting more attacks and just like finding your pluses. So she's kind of taking it in the other direction, which is not, we're not sure if we actually want to go yet. I think the grade 2 lineup is very clogged for the deck, but I think she might see play.
Shiratsuyu. I think this card is good minus. I think that's the soul fixing that lets you tutor out the starter again, which lets you put it back into soul, but it also refunds the cost basically, is very strong.
Well, I don't know if reusing the grade 3 searches is something you actually want to do, but I think having a free 10k shield and counter charge is nice. So I've just got her as playable.
Anoka, I have her as playable plus based on the premise that new Coral is very good, and that makes all of Coral support very playable at the same time.
I've got her as playable minus because she's not actually a straight plus, she's just very strong filtering. Like, you probably never want to use her from hand, but it's very easy to shove it into soul with other effects, and so she sets up the rest of your stuff nicely. But you'd play it anyway because she's probably better than a vanilla crit, but I don't think she's like, oh wow, this card's gonna fix everything.
Myrtle, I have her as playable based on the premise that because Coral is good, she'll be played as like a good card, and I think this card is actually very good as well. There's just a lot of draw in one card.
I have her as good minus, mainly because she doesn't actually make comms on her own. The thing is, you can ride this and fix your Raijin if you miss road, while still drawing a card. I think that'll be the main use of this. The Insult Act is a bit less useful, because you're never going to be in a situation where you really, really want to use that, I feel. Like, if you miss soul charge something at random, then sure, it could be handy. But again, I think the fact that she doesn't really make columns is what holds her back.
Chandi, I have her as playable minus. I think that her pre-GB draw is very strong, but the investment you need is a bit too steep for her.
I have her as niche. Like, for every 3 units in Harmony is a really weird, like, factor to have there. Because to really have 3 units in Harmony, you have to have 4 units in Harmony, right? I think she's only going to be super effective on the Celebrate Voice Loris turns, and I don't know if you even run that anymore, to be honest. I think she just costs a little bit too much for what she does to make it worthwhile.
Cheryl, I put her at good minus. She's a 10k, which is already a very strong draw towards playing the card, but her demerit effect is a lot steeper than the other ones we've seen before with the minus 5k. A cannot attack effect has very large repercussions compared to minus 5k. And there are fail cases where this can happen, so I only have her as good minus.
I've got her as playable plus. Like, 10ks are instantly good no matter what. I think that her drawback is kind of irrelevant because in duos, you're probably going to have multiple copies of stuff in hand anyway from your early setup, like your pearls and your clears and whatnot. I think the only downside is that her secondary effect is really not that great. It's just Counterblast on bounce to draw, which is not really what the deck needs. The deck just wants more resources, not more draw. I think it's got plenty of that already. So you probably play her just because she's a 10k body. She makes columns with the OG Cheryl, which is nice, but she's just not quite good enough. But you'd probably still play her.
Coral. I think it's obvious this card is good plus. I think it's currently, of all the revealed cards, a meta-defining card. We thought Dragabyss Luard was ridiculous with its plus 10k on Ritual Cross, but now we've got plus 10k First Stride with the Coral. This card is just so strong.
Yeah, I think it's good plus. Like, it's very clearly a push design. It puts Coral on the map as being a legit build. The defensive play is really strong, and the ability to consistently plus is also really strong. I think it puts Coral on par with even tier 2, tier 1.5 meta decks. Like, one of the really cool lines of play you can do is you can put the crit into Soul from the on-stride cost to draw 2, and then because the continuous effect is a scaling continuous, you can then use the crit to find a new Coral to put into Soul, so that you're basically still like +2 or +3.
Finally, we've got the new Mirror Stride. I think she's only niche. I think there's a lot to be asked of this card, and it just doesn't bring it. 5k and crit twice is the maximum you get off of it, and even then, that's not enough.
I think this card is niche plus. Like, Duo is not an aggro deck. This card just does all the wrong things. Having a Soul Blast 1 to mass bounce is just not what you need at all. Gaining 5k and crit is also like, shrug, or whatever. It's not on attack, so there's no combo potential. It just doesn't really do much for what the deck wants to do. But she's cute.
That was it for this week's Card of the Day wrap-up.
If you enjoyed what you saw today, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and the bell button so that you're the very first to get our new videos. Also, leave a comment below on what you think about these newly revealed cards.
And on Monday, come watch our podcast where we tie up all the cards in further detail. Thanks for watching. This has been YellowCard Vanguard, and that's it from us for now.